couldn't believe that they were brought up in a gangster environment, most of them. And, some of them have shot at the police and others did break-ins. And they did, I couldn't imagine that these, 12, 13, 14-year-olds could do that.
How about in outside of the corporate world when you're dealing with people? And what have you learned that has helped you to understand people better and connect to people better?
I think the one big thing is exposures. So just being exposed to different people and different situations. So I can remember I was 13 years old and my parents took me and my two sisters out of school for 3 months. My dad had to take out a loan and that he paid off, I think 40 years after that, because it was so important for him that we get, as children, get exposed to different experiences. So the one time I was working in Mother Teresa's home for the dying, I was taking care of 80-year-old grandpas and feeding them and washing them. When my eyes went up to poverty actually in India. So Africa, there's a lot of poverty, but you sometimes get used to your own surroundings. But I really was faced with a new reality when I saw poverty in India. I couldn't imagine a 3-year-old holding the hand of a 5-year-old begging at the street. And I just have never seen that. And so that really shocked me as a 13-year-old, you can imagine. And a lot of questions being asked to dad and to mom with what do we do with this and how does this impact my life back in South Africa. So that was a big learning experience, just that exposure to different cultures.
That must have been quite a surreal experience. And I can see how that would have hardwired you and rewired you to think differently.
And yes, as you grow up, you see need and you see poverty all around you. You're not sure how to address it. And in South Africa also, thankfully, I'm not sure how it happened, but I ended up with a group of friends. Every Wednesday, we would go to a local youth prison where there would be kids my age, and we would just play soccer with them every Wednesday. That carried on for maybe 2 years. And I just learned so much just with interacting with other boys my age. And I couldn't believe that they would, some of them have shot at the police and others did break-ins. And they did, I couldn't imagine that these, 12, 13, 14-year-olds could do that. And it was just the way that they were brought up most of the time. They were brought up in a gangster environment, most of them. And it was just very challenging for me to see that and to almost become friends with other boys in prison. It was very, very interesting, just that dynamic and learning. So that exposure meant a lot. I think shaped the way that I think when I was young. On that side is to really get a friend that's counterculture friend. If you get a friend that's from another culture, from another background, economic background, even racial background, language background. So I just decided I have to make friends. And so I intentionally spent sometimes my whole weekend with just people making friends in different places. And I found this one friend, and actually two of them, they just stuck. And we have been friends since then. And he just teaches me so much. He's economically makes much less than me, but we would talk about economic things. Family situation is much different from him, but we talk about that. So I think being countercultural as a person, you need to find a countercultural friend, someone who can really counters your way of viewing your own culture. So that has really helped me so much. That's the key thing when it comes to thinking counterculturally.
I can see the value in investing in counterculture friends. And I can see how that much has impacted you and driven you. And especially you started by saying exposure helps. And you're absolutely right. The ability to travel and see maybe some people who are less fortunate gives that spectrum of how you see what's happening around you outside of your own bubble.